Good morning. It's October 16th, and it's time for our daily dose of good news, which is from 1 Peter chapter 5, verses 1 through 5. Now, as an elder myself, and a witness of the sufferings of Christ, as well as one who shares in the glory to be revealed, I exhort the elders among you to tend the flock of God that is in your charge, exercising the oversight, not under compulsion, but willingly, as God would have you do it, not for sordid gain, but eagerly. Do not lord it over those in your charge, but be examples to the flock. And when the chief shepherd appears, you will win the crown of glory that never fades away. In the same way, you who are younger must accept the authority of the elders. And all of you must clothe yourselves with humility in your dealings with one another. For God opposes the proud, but gives grace to the humble. Here ends the reading. In this text for today, it focuses on pride, and it focuses on those whom you are responsible to, not out of a sense of obligation, but out of a sense of eagerness. And I wonder how that might fit into your world. I am filming today from my kitchen, and as a mother, part of my flock are my kids, and they have a lot of needs. They need to be fed and driven around and have clothes that fit them and are appropriate for the weather. It's kind of ridiculous how much they have that they need. And it can wear me out and exhaust me in the process. And I think many of you might feel that way, whether your children are young and you are chasing them around the house and trying to keep them from putting dangerous things in electric sockets, or whether they are older and you are worried about issues such as the choices they make and whether they're in their best interest or not, and how they're thinking things through responsibly. So you may have some of those aspects as a parent. You may have some of those aspects at work. You may have a team that you're responsible for. Maybe you're the supervisor of the team or the lead of that team. And the team is complaining about lots of different things or has lots of varying needs that sometimes conflict with one another. And you are leading that and trying to find your way in that. Maybe you have that with caring for elderly parents, that you are tending for their needs and it's overwhelming and it's exhausting. And maybe you're even doing that from afar. And that maybe makes it even more wearing and tiring. And you have your own life that has its own components that you want to live. And you're trying to manage all of that at once, which can be hard and frustrating and exhausting. But what this text is about is for those whom you shepherd, no matter what that pasture looks like, no matter what that experience feels like for you. The idea is that you're doing it not out of obligation, but out of eagerness, out of a compassion for those in your flock. Just like God has compassion for us in God's flock. So your goal is to be an example to your flock and not do things begrudgingly, but to do it with joy and peacefulness and with a sense of humility, of recognizing the needs of your flock as important. And the prideful part of us can feel like, well, what about me? What about my life? What about what I need? But the encouragement here is to look to your flock, to be an example and to care for them. And a shepherd isn't someone who is simply nice to the sheep and feeds them, but a shepherd gives tender, loving care. A shepherd oftentimes carries the sheep who has an injured leg. Sometimes the shepherd actually would break the leg of a sheep to keep it from wandering off. So sometimes a shepherd is dealing with correction, okay? But I think the idea of humility is especially important in areas of correction. And you may have areas of correction with your team, with your children, with others you're involved with that you may have some oversight over. But there's humility in listening to them. There's humility in trying to understand another person's point of view and not thinking that you know it all. So you're being encouraged here to lay your pride down, to focus on your flock, to care for them in ways which are loving and which consider their needs and their perspectives in a way that elevates them as important and as valuable, and as creatures deserving of care and love and compassion. And for some of you, you may say, well, I'm not in charge of any team. There's nobody I'm in charge of. Well, you're also mentioned in this passage too at the end, because it says, in the same way, you who are younger must accept the authority of the elders. And what that means is you listen to them. You consider their point of view. That you recognize they have been here for a while and they have wisdom and they have authority because of that. And so you don't dismiss them in another prideful way of thinking, I know it all and they're so outdated or their ideas are out of touch or ridiculous or whatever, that you are compassionately engaging with those who are elder than you, that might have something to share, that you can learn from and that you can benefit from and that you can grow from. So either way, it's about keeping ourselves in check in terms of not letting our pride run off with us and elevate us to think we're the most important person in the room, but looking at our flock and how to be an example and how to compassionately reach out towards one or another, towards our flock or towards our elders in ways that God calls us to do. Enjoy your day, everybody. Bye-bye.